What's good, my people? Welcome into Buckets, Action Network's daily NBA betting podcast. We're in the workshop Tuesday, NBA slate, last slate of 2024. Let's go out with some winners. My guy, the regular. Tuesday, boys, we're here. J Money is money. You know the man. Go subscribe to his YouTube page, NBA Talk with Jay. I am your host, Sean Little. We are recording this live from our Tommy John home studio. The best draws, the best pajamas, the best in the game. Tommy John, go check them out if you haven't got a pair of any of their stuff. The underwear, the shirts, everything is comfy. You know the deal. We give the play, we give the cap, we get you guys out of here. Tuesday, the last slate of the calendar year. J Money is money. Give me your best bet.
Yeah, and I can't wait until we get to the new year, man. I've been getting absolutely smoked. Made a pact with myself that I'm not gonna place any money on any bets until January 1st of 2025. But for this show, I will throw a heavy lean to the Minnesota Timberwolves plus 7.5 and SGA under 31.5 points.
All right, we'll break both down. I am going to San Antonio. I'm going to take the Spurs -3 versus the Clippers on a back-to-back. We'll break it all down. J Money is money. Always tells me the truth. Always tells me when he's white hot. Always tells me when he's struggling and the board's looking a little foggy. And currently, the board is looking a little foggy right now. Talk to me about, because I think it's important that people know. He flat out, J Money, said, I'm taking a break. I'm not betting until 2025. Take us through that process, why you're taking a break, and then we'll get into some of these leans.
Yeah, it's just something I like to notice. Obviously life is a roller coaster, but sports betting for me personally, I can't speak for anybody else because I don't know how they do things. But for me, it's just a roller coaster, man. I'll be hitting every play, like everything. Like for whatever reason, a team will come back from down 20. Like everything is in my way, and then it'll seem like the next month, every single thing that I'm betting, these are the same spots. I do my capping process the same. I take the same spots, revenge, all this. For whatever reason, right now, whatever I'm betting is just not going my way. I hate losing people money. Like I'm one of those guys that, even though I'm betting on it as well, I hate losing other people money because obviously our bankrolls might not be the same. But like I say, I have a couple plays that I'd like to bet. I always see the board the same way, but for whatever reason, guys, like I cannot hit water out of a boat right now. Like I can't whatever I'm betting, man. I've probably lost like 6 or 7 straight plays, man. It's absolutely eating me up. I can't wait till December is over. I wish I could sleep right now, Sean, and wake up whenever it's
wake up
January
in 2025.
1st. Yeah, it's been bad. This might be one of the worst months that I've ever had betting. Like that's how bad it's. I could buy a brand new car off the lot, cash. Pink slip, Jay. You know what I'm saying? With how much I've lost in December, man. It's been absolutely horrible. I'm ready for a fresh start. But definitely down to talk these games. I have looks on pretty much every single game. I have leans. I hadn't even done my YouTube show, Sean. That's how you know that I'm just like I'm down bad right now, man.
Reset.
Yeah, I need to reset, man.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to go about it. I mean, I think there's people out there that say do all types of things and they try to buy plays from other people because they think they're hot, or that they'll just tail some other people because they can't pick a winner. Always, for me, the best answer is to just take a break, completely unplug. Jay even said it, man. I'm having even a hard time watching basketball. Like that's a real unplug because you're truly still locked in. You start to think about making plays while you're watching games or breaking things down. Full reset is just completely turning it off. Hang out with your girl. Go read a book. Watch a new TV show. Go check out The Jackal on Peacock. Show's off the chain. I just started. You just got to completely reset when you're going to reset. I'm going to come out with a video and put it out on Twitter or something about just 3 or 4 things I do to either help me avoid tilting or chasing. Yeah. I think it's very important because indirectly, I think a perfect example sometimes, Jay, is like you play these little bullshit, like, oh, I'm just playing a little $10 same game parlay at 70-1, but it's still a loss and it still starts to stack up for me. So it feels like I haven't got a win in a minute, and then it might that losing projects on regardless if I'm playing singles or not. So I'm always feel like I'm searching for a win. And that's when things start to snowball and can get really out of whack. So, yeah, I think the best process is always to unplug, take a break. But enough of the preaching. It's an important part of the game. But let's get to the leans. Let's start with Minnesota getting the points, because I was actually leaning this way as well. Almost made it my official play before I went Spurs. Talk to me about this spot and why you like it.
Yeah, this is the Thunder are a great team, man. Don't get me wrong. This is an NBA TV game as well. So we have two of the new faces of the NBA going up against each other here, SGA and Anthony Edwards over there. But I feel like this is a few too many points in my opinion. But first, I want to lean towards under for OKC because both of these teams. Both of these teams are top tier defensively. I know the Timberwolves, they're not going to let SGA beat them by themselves. The last few times he's played against them, he's had 37 points, 34 points. This particular time, I think they how SGA gets on the block, they do the clear out to like the left side of the court. They put him on the block. He has his back to the basket, and he's going to shoot a fadeaway jumper, or he's going to try to get in the lane, draw a foul. I think they're going to send a double team on it every single time. They're going to make the rest of the team beat them, in my opinion. You also have Rudy Gobert down low, the anchor of that defense. Is going to be a little harder to get points into the paint, but I see them throwing double teams. I think the key for the Thunder in this particular game is guys like Lou Dort, Cason Wallace, Isaiah Joe, these guys making the three-pointers on their kick out from the double team. I just feel like the Wolves, their game plan is going to be, we cannot let SGA go bunkers. He's coming off a game where he had like 45 points or something. I think that's going to be the focal point of their defense, is to make sure SGA doesn't go crazy and make the rest of the team beat them as well. Wolves are also not bad guarding the three-point line as well, but if they're double teaming him, it'll be open for the three-point shooters for the Thunder. I think SGA doesn't see 30 points in this particular game, man. So that would be my best bet on the card. But I also lean to the Wolves plus a 7.5 here, Sean. This team is starting to play a lot better here, and you do get the Thunder that are being priced like they're head and shoulders above the Wolves, and they might be the better team, but 7.5. I mean, that's damn near 3 possessions, Sean. Like, come on, man. You got Ant could take over this game at any minute. They still have like somewhat of a rebounding advantage. Guys like Naz Reid, guys like Julius Randle, Rudy Gobert as well, man. So I'd really like to get there with the Wolves here, Sean. I really would. I really think Wolves plus a 7.5 is the right side in this game. They've won 3 straight games. You could just tell they're starting to get back to that Wolves brand of basketball. And I think you're getting a little bit of value with them as well. The fact that they've played not up to their standards, or playing like a team that went to the Western Conference Finals last year. So I think the Wolves plus 7.5 could potentially be a really great look in this game. Also with SGA under 31.5 points. What do you think?
Yeah, I think they're correlated, right? So if you like them to focus and be able to slow SGA, that's the head of the snake for the Oklahoma City Thunder, and that would be the way to slow them up. So I think they're correlated. He goes under, they're going to have if he doesn't score 30, they're going to have a really, really, really hard time covering 7.5 points. My favorite thing in the NBA when we're talking about picking spots, because let's be honest, Oklahoma City Thunder, the spookiest team to try to fade in the NBA right now. Those
especially
boys show up every single night. When you think they're not going to show up, they show up anyway. And they crack boys. We were talking about them coming off of Vegas.
Except for the Milwaukee Bucks.
Yeah, except for the NBA Cup. They flat out didn't show up. That's what's interesting. That's why when it starts to get towards that Western Conference Finals and the playoffs, we've seen them now a few years, and I'm not talking about SGA. He didn't play that well in the NBA Cup final either way. Mm-hmm. But everybody else, because as much as they need SGA still needs the rest of those guys to contribute offensively. When they need to knock down open shots, it just opens up everything else for them, right? And they typically do. That's why you see them have so much success. When the lights got bright in that NBA Cup final, they didn't look very good. We'll see how they show up. I think that's the only question mark we have about the Thunder is what happens when shit gets tight and it's playoff ball, possession by possession. How are they going to respond? But to get back to my spot point, I love fading teams that I believe are giving up too many points when we talk about the schedule. Since December 26th, the Thunder have played, they played on the 26th, they played on the 28th, they played on the 29th. They have Monday off, but then they host Minnesota on Tuesday. So that's going to be their 4th game in 6 days. Mm-hmm. Fourth game in 6 days for the Oklahoma City Thunder. I love to fade them in that spot, especially when we're talking about a defense-first team in Minnesota that can slow you down. I agree. As soon as I saw this number, I was like, oh, that's too many points.
Yeah.
You know what's? I don't know about you, Jay. Typically, like when I'm going through a cap and trying to find a spot, I'll just look at the board, and sometimes spots just speak to me by looking at the sheet. I'll be like, oh, that's too many points. And then
Facts.
I'll start to dig through and I'll go through the numbers. And if the numbers back up what my initial gut feeling was saying, that's usually when I print the slip. When I was going through and looking at that, I saw that 7.5. I was like, yeah, that's too many points. I started doing my digging and I was just like, man, these fucking Thunder, they don't blink ever. So
Yeah.
it spooked me a little bit. And we know all the different things going on, especially offensively for Minnesota. So it shied me away and I found a different spot. But I agree with everything you said. I agree it's a really tough spot, scheduling spot for the Oklahoma City Thunder. If they could focus on SGA, slow him up, 7.5 is almost 3 full possessions. Feels like too big of a number for me. So I agree. I'll co-sign the lean for you and not making it official. But I will say, when I looked at the board, that number jumped off, and I initially was like, I think that's going to be my play for Tuesday. But I found
Sean,
another one. Yeah.
and I just want to say one thing. Like I'm not begging this, but I still think it wins. You know what I mean? That's why it's not official. Because only time I'm going to come on here and give people a play, like say, hey, follow me on this play, is if I have money on it myself. So I know that's like I want people to understand that I won't have money on this, but I think that it wins. To be perfectly honest, which I like that heavy lean there to the Wolves. I think they come through. I wouldn't be surprised if they won this game outright. And like you say, Sean, if the Thunder do run out of gas here finally in this fourth game in 6 nights, with the first couple games being with travel as well. If they do run out of gas, they could potentially lose this one outright on the money line, man. I know it's an NBA TV game. I know SGA wants the ball. He wants to show that he's the MVP, but you got Michael Jordan Jr. over there on the other side, and he's not letting up. And what happens if Julius Randle shows up and decides he wants to play great basketball? What if Gobert is on the paint down there? Naz Reid comes off the bench and he's doing his thing. Because off the bench, they don't really have anyone that can bang with Naz Reid, in my opinion. He's like the X factor. If this was a playoff series, Naz Reid would be the X factor if they didn't have Chet Holmgren, obviously, have a backup big. He would be the X factor here, man. So 7.5 is a little disrespectful to the Minnesota Timberwolves, in my opinion. I still think that they're a top 3 team, top 4 team in the Western Conference. And we're going to see tomorrow if they can hang with the Thunder. But you did make a good point. It's always hard fading the Thunder, especially when they're at the house.
Yeah, I will say last point here on this is that Isaiah Hartenstein is going to have to deal with a few bodies to clean up boards. This is not one of those games where he's just going to easily pick up 13, 14 boards like they're playing the Washington Wizards. He's going to have to deal with some length and some big-time dogs down there for those rebounds. And it could be one of those situations where the glass is very much slanted to Minnesota, and that plays perfectly into a low-scoring underdog type of spot. So stay tuned there. We both like the points with Minnesota. Both leans, nothing official. All right. We mentioned at the top of the show that we're coming to you from our Tommy John home studios, and that's because great games start with great underwear, and Tommy John makes the greatest. As you guys know, I mention this all the time. They sent me some stuff, and I then tested it out, approved. I went and bought some stuff. I got pajama pants. I bought some stuff for some of my homies as a stocking stuffer. I got the drawers. Everything is very, very comfortable. Go check it out. Worth the money. The comfort is key. That's why you should go pick up some Tommy John. When you're truly comfortable, you do everything better, and that includes betting. So if you love the Buckets podcast, if you love this crew, Sean Little, J Money, you'll love Tommy John. Get 25% off your first order right now at TommyJohn.com/buckets. Save 25% at TommyJohn.com/buckets. All right, Jay. Spurs -3 at home. As we record this, what happened to the final over there?
Bro, it's close right now, man. I'm watching it like a hawk because I think it's a good spot. No, it's 114, 113 right now with 4 seconds to go.
Okay, Clippers up 1, 4 seconds to go as we record this. The reason we mention that is because we believe if the Clippers do battle back, they were down, they're in a dogfight on the road playing the Pelicans. If they battle back and win, we think it's a better spot for the San Antonio Spurs. I'll let Jay get into his reasoning there. But either way, with how this game has gone in New Orleans, it being this tight, I like the San Antonio Spurs at home laying the 3 either way. Let's talk about the Clippers coming off a back-to-back because that's the situation here. They're 2-4 ATS with no rest this year. Something interesting here is James Harden has played in all 6 back-to-backs this year. That's not something that I would have thought I would said coming into the year, but he has done so far. I actually wouldn't be shocked if he sat this next game with the schedule over the holidays as active as it's been for the Clippers. I'm not banking the cap on that, but it is something I think could happen. James may get some rest. Stay tuned there. But if he goes, let's talk about James in these 6 games on no rest. The shooting splits have been essentially horrendous. Let's go back to October, the 3rd game of the year. They're in a back-to-back. He was 6 of 19 from the floor, 32%, 2 of 12 from 3 in that 2nd game of a back-to-back. Go to 11-9 versus the Toronto Raptors, 2nd game of a back-to-back. 5 of 17, 29.4%, 2 of 8 from 3. Let's go to Monday, 11-8 versus the Golden State Warriors. 4 of 15, 27%, 2 of 6 from deep. Let's go to Monday against the Boston Celtics on the road. 2nd game of a back-to-back. 8 of 17, lower volume. He had 19 points. That's probably one of the better performances of the back-to-back, but it's still low volume. Let's go to Wednesday, 12-4 versus the Minnesota Timberwolves. J Money. 1 for 10 from the floor, 1 of 6. He only had 5 points, 2nd night of a back-to-back. Those are all 6 other games from James Harden when he plays in the 2nd game of back-to-back. So if he plays or not, they haven't been his most productive spots. He's an older guy. We know James's history coming in on when we're talking conditioning and things of that nature, even though he's been playing pretty well this year with all the volume that they've been asking of him. With the Clippers, he's been playing well, but back-to-backs, he has struggled. I just laid it out, and now he has to go on the road after a grueling game here versus the Pelicans and then play the San Antonio Spurs coming off of a day off. I really like that spot when we're talking about removing James from the equation with the Spurs being at home. Defense for the Clippers in December has ticked down a little bit, but not very much. They're still a really good defensive team. But when we talk about them going on the road, the defensive rating goes down by almost 2 full points, and the offensive rating goes down by a full 2 points. When they're at home, the Clippers' net rating is 4.8. On the road, it's a 0.2. That's almost a 4.6 change when we talk about home versus road. All that combined with potentially James having a bad game and keeping up with that trend on back-to-backs, with them being on the road, where they don't score as much and they play worse defense. Back-to-back spot where they're 2-4 against the number on no rest. God forbid Norman Powell has a bad game. I don't see them putting up more than 95 points. So I think this is a good spot for the San Antonio Spurs. I'll lay the 3 at home coming off a day off versus a team in the Clippers who's going to be on a back-to-back and offensively already struggles. What do you think?
Yep, and they just won 116-113 as well. I was paying attention to everything you're saying. I'm just watching this score. I think it's a really great look. Let's take it back to November 4th. I had the Clippers in this spot, okay? They're down 40-14 at the end of the 1st quarter at home versus the San Antonio Spurs. They outscored them by 18 in the 2nd quarter to tighten it up, and then they had to outscore them 31-18 in the 4th quarter to come back and win that game by 9 points. And they were laying 4 in that one as well. So this spot actually sets up well for the Spurs. Don't look now, but the Spurs have been playing some really great basketball of late. They've lost 8 straight to the Clippers. They've lost 8 straight to the Clippers. This is probably one of their best chances to get it done. Spurs 6-0 against the spread in their last 6 games, man. They are coming back home off a 4-game road trip. That's the only thing that's not good for them. But like Wemby, he's going absolutely bonkers. Like he showed you on Christmas Day. He's one of those guys. He doesn't need to be shooting 16 threes. Sean, I'll tell you that. What the fuck is the tallest guy in the NBA? Like, why are you 7'3", bro? You're shooting 16 threes. Stop the madness, man. What has the NBA came to? I could start a whole nother rant on that. Like
He get clean looks. He getting
the
clean looks.
ratings are
Nobody up there with him. Nobody up there that can contest.
Why? Nobody contest at the rim either. Right?
I feel you. Yeah, I feel you.
But so he had one that he put up like 3 feet behind the 3-point line. He made it, but like, I don't know, bro. I don't want to get started on this tangent, but like real basketball is broken, man. You see these guys on a 3-on-1 fast break and they rather pass it out to the 3, man. I just want to say one really great analogy really quick, Sean, that makes a lot of sense. Shooting, the NBA has become like parlays and straight bets. They're going for the threes. They want the big payout on the threes rather than going with the straight bet that's a higher percentage win. You know what I mean? So that's just how I look at it, man. That's what today's betting world is. That's what today's NBA game is. They'd rather do the parlays than the straight bets. Straight bets being the twos, the easy twos, the layups. They'd rather shoot the threes that are like a huge payout, like the parlays. But I just wanted to say that Steph Curry changed the game. With all that being said, I like Spurs -3 here with you. You might see Norman Powell or James Harden pop up on the injury report here. It's not the greatest of spots. I think the Spurs keep their ATS streak going and make it 7 straight. This line looks funny, and it's probably money.
Yeah, I like this look a lot for San Antonio Spurs. To recap, J Money is money and myself leaning Minnesota Timberwolves +7.5 in Oklahoma City. Jay also leans SGA under 31.5 points in that same matchup. I'm going with the Spurs -3, -110 in the market versus the Clippers on a back-to-back. For J Money is money, I am your host, Sean Little. Go subscribe to the Action Network YouTube page. Go download the Action Network app ASAP. Happy New Year to everybody out there, all our listeners on Buckets. We appreciate y'all. Big, big love to everyone that listens to the Buckets podcast. Tell a homie to tell a friend. We got more winners coming in 2025. For J Money is money, I am your host, Sean Little. We'll see you next time in 2025. Don't forget it. Get buckets, baby.